You are in a band. You guys have a 30-minute set ready to go, and you are ready to blow up the world so awesomely that people are going to be saying, Metallica who? Here's your problem. You don't have a photographer ready to take pictures of your set. And unfortunately, you guys are on stage, so you're going to have to rely on a friend of yours or one of your parents or your girlfriends or boyfriends to take pictures of your set. So this video is for you, friend, boyfriend, or girlfriend of the band, and you want to take pictures of them, or you are an aspiring photographer yourself and you just want to take some dope pictures of bands playing. Here's how to do it, and here's how to get started. What's up, everybody? Hope everyone's having a good day. If you watch my YouTube channel for any length of time, you know that I am a sound guy at a music venue, and I am also an audio engineer. But I don't dive into this side of my life because, quite frankly, most of you aren't interested in photography, but I am a photographer by day. I mostly work with real estate and lifestyle photography. I spend my days taking pictures of businesses, neighborhoods, and people, but occasionally I do find myself taking pictures of bands instead of actually doing sound for bands. So I thought for this video, I would take my professional life as a photographer and combine it with my YouTube audience. Now let's just take care of a couple things out of the way. Photography is as broad of a spectrum as audio. There is really no set rules to how to do this sort of thing. And there are millions of different combinations that you can do in order to achieve a certain look, a different color, a different style. What may work for taking pictures of bands might not necessarily work for taking pictures of landscapes or weddings or family portraits, whatever the case is. But there are a couple of golden rules and practices that apply to every aspect of photography. So let's dive right into the absolute basics if you don't know a thing or two about photography. Now, every single camera you buy, even the camera that you have on your phone, will do all of these things. Or if you're using a phone, you can download an app that will give you manual control over the shutter. Let's start right away with ISO. Now, ISO, think of it as, in audio terms, it's the gain on your console. ISO essentially just adds more light and more sensitivity to the sensor. Now be careful, because if you add too much ISO like I'm doing right now, you're gonna see everything start to brighten out, and now I look like a flashbang grenade went off in my face. You definitely don't want too much ISO, and think of that as the gain of the image. It's a cheap way to add more brightness to your image, but depending on how good your camera is and how good your sensor is in the camera, it may add a little too much noise, especially on the blacks right there. You could probably see a little bit of graininess on the bass trap right over there above my head. If you zoom in the video and pixel peep, even still on this high quality camera, you can see a little bit of noise right there. Every camera will have some sort of noise in the image. It also depends on what body you use. That's why there's so many debates online about who's better, Canon, Sony, Nikon, whoever. Each camera operates differently, and for every camera that processes the digital signal from the lens into the final image, it reacts differently based on how much ISO you add to your image. So just be careful if you add too much ISO. Next, let's talk about the shutter speed. Now think of shutter speed as the attack on a compressor. Shutter speed is how fast the mechanical shutter in your camera is moving to take the picture. It always looks like a fraction on the bottom of your camera menu settings, whether it's 1/60, 1/80, 1/10, 1/125, you name it. That is the shutter speed. Now the slower of the attack of the shutter speed, AKA 1/1, 1/10, 1/20. That is actually a very slow shutter speed. So if you take it and you're moving the camera, the image will be very blurry and you'll have a lot of motion blur in it. Now let's go in the opposite direction. If you have a very fast shutter speed, AKA something around 180, 1/100, 1/125, that's a very fast shutter speed, or very fast attack if we're sticking with the compressor metaphor here. What that will do is, if you're moving and you snap the picture at 1/125, the picture will still be in focus. This is a very safe bet if you're capturing weddings, if you're capturing concert photography or wildlife. Ideally, for action shots, 1/125 is a pretty safe bet. Again, any camera, any pro grade camera should have a manually adjustable shutter speed to get you the desired effect that you want. And finally, let's go to the f-stop. Now, to explain in plain English what the f-stop is, next time you go outside on a bright sunny day and you squint your eyes to let as little light in your eyes as possible, that's what an f-stop is. Essentially, it is the iris of the lens, and depending on what f-stop it is, if it's f2, f3, the lens is wide open, and think of it as your pupils are wide enough where you are letting a lot of light in your eyes. Now, if the number is higher, if the f-stop is higher, like f8, f16, or f22, that is a very tiny amount of light being let into the camera. Now, there are two benefits of that. If you have a wider f-stop, if the lens is wide open, you can see behind me, if I move closer to the camera, this is at f2.8 right now, and you can see everything behind me is blurred out. But watch as I adjust. It's really tough to do this with everything reversed. Now, I just turned my f-stop to 8, which is what I use for real estate. Let me turn up the gain or ISO to adjust. And then now you can see everything is more in focus behind me. You don't have a lot of background blur. It doesn't look good for YouTube talking head videos like this, but if you're photographing real estate or if you're photographing a landscape and you want everything to be in focus, this is a great f-stop for you. Now, let me reach as far as I can and turn it so you can see in real time what a wide open f-stop looks. And let me adjust the ISO. There, now I'm back into what I normally use, and you can see everything's a little more blurred out. But even with an f8 or an f22 f-stop, if I get real close to the camera, you will see that even if I turn the f-stop, I mean, I'm pitch black right now, but if I turn up the f-stop all the way to f22, and my ISO is just so cranked, like everything's very grainy right now, even at f22, and I'm literally about 2 hand lengths away from the camera, you can see everything is a little bit blurred out back there. The biggest difference of how to make your backgrounds all blurry is how close the camera is to the subject. So even if I'm really close to the camera, you can see, I mean, I can even see right here, it's still a little bit blurry, versus if I now move back, everything is now in focus. Okay, now that I have the camera back to where it normally is for this type of content, let's talk about what cameras to actually buy. And unfortunately, guys, in the world of pro audio, you can maybe buy a cheaper, lower grade type of microphone or a console or even an interface, and you have the ability to get very good results. Unfortunately, in the world of cameras and pro photography, this ain't gonna cut it. So you need to buy a camera body and a very nice lens to be able to take some high quality pictures. If you are going to take some live concert photography and a lot of action like sports, weddings, or anything involving a lot of people moving, you want a camera with exceptional autofocus. And I think that's the most important thing that you need to look out for, is how good is the autofocus on the camera body that you're getting. If you have a camera body with really slow autofocus or really not that good autofocus, your camera is going to be hunting all day and night for the great shot. And by the time that it finally does grab focus, the moment's passed and you lost your shot. You want a pretty decent megapixel count so that if you need to crop the image in, you won't lose any detail in the sharpness. And you need good color science. Now, color science, if you look up anything on the photography forums or research anything on the YouTube photography side, you're gonna see people arguing over what color science is better. But in general, what color science is it's basically how the camera and the processors inside the camera body process colors and how the image looks. For me though, I wanted a camera body that did pretty good photo and pretty good video. I didn't want something that did one better than the other. I wanted something that can basically do almost anything. And after doing a lot of research on my own, I ended up buying a Sony a7 III. I use this exact rig right here. This is an a7R5. I love it because this is a 60 plus megapixel sensor. It's total overkill, but if I take a picture of a room, I can zoom into roughly about 300 to 400% in post, and I still have a crisp, sharp image. So If I get a wide shot with this camera, I can zoom in and I can get almost any sort of zoom length that I want on the image. And it's great. And 60 plus megapixel, yeah, the files are huge. It's about 128 megabytes for one image, but I have all that data in the photo. I love the fact that it has a flippy screen that can literally move in almost any direction. But for my YouTube videos, I have a little monitor right here at the right of the camera here. I can see myself and see that I'm in focus, so I can see my shot. So I love the fact that it has a flippy screen so I can actually see myself. But for most of my gigs, if I am not using the wide lens right here for stupid wide shots, I am using this lens right here, which is a Sony 14-105 f4. Now, what I mean by f4 is no matter how much the lens is extended, there's definitely a innuendo to be had right here. But no matter what focal length I have the lens, which is 24 millimeters, which is pretty wide, to 105, which is really zoomed in, it remains at an f-stop of 4, which means in daylight, I'm totally fine. But at night, I may have to bump the ISO up a little bit to adjust, but f4 will still give me a really good image. Now, finally, let's talk about flashes. You want a camera body that has what's called a hot shoe, which is this little guy right on the top of the camera here. This enables you to connect a secondary device like a flash on top to have it connected with the electronics of the camera. Now, the difference between a hot shoe or what is also called a cold shoe is not powered. Like I said, a hot shoe is going to have the ability to connect to the circuitry of the camera. A cold shoe is literally just like a glove. It doesn't do anything. It's just a slot to hold something. Now, the flash that I use is what's called a Godox V1S. Now, it's very important when you are buying a flash that you get a flash that is compatible with your camera. Now, the Godox makes the V1 model flash for all the major brands out there, Canon, Nikon, and Sony. And this is the Sony capable one because it has the S for Sony. That's important. So if you are using a Sony body and you are buying a Canon capable hot shoe flash, it's not going to work and the camera is not going to be able to read this. And essentially what a flash does, it does this. Now, this will add a little tiny burst of light and give you a more evenly exposed photo in lower lights. If I use this camera and I take a picture of my speaker right now without flash, and then I quickly turn on the flash and take the same exact picture, you can now see that the flashed photo is much brighter, much more consistent, and much more accurate with the colors versus the photo in what we call ambient light. Ambient lighting being whatever is naturally either in the room or natural sunlight from outside. I highly encourage you to do your own research, look up whatever you need to look up, and figure out a list of features that you want and find the camera body that suits you. All right, guys, so before we take a look at the raw images, let's discuss cameras, because there are so many different types of cameras, so many sizes, so many shapes, so many brands, and so many sensor sizes, different types of sensors, features, etc. Let's try to narrow down to a couple of choices if you are looking to get started in photography, specifically if you're looking to get started with band photography, but all of these cameras can basically do everything. Now, I'm not going to recommend a camera unless I haven't used it personally. So all the cameras that I'm going to talk about here are cameras that I have actually used on pro shoots or just used for a hobby. So let's start over here with the first camera. This is what I would recommend to be almost a bare minimum setup here. If you want something to just pull out, point and shoot, and take a halfway decent image. This is the Canon PowerShot G7X Mark III, and it's a very popular camera, but for me, the autofocus just isn't really the best. And if you're photographing bands, this is probably not the best option for you, which is why I would recommend the Sony CyberShot DSC RX100 Mark VII. That's a very long title, so let's just call it the RX100 VII. This is a monster of a camera. So if you can see here, it's got a 20 megapixel sensor, same as a Canon. It has a 20 megapixel 1-inch sensor. It's made by Zeiss, which is a very notable lens manufacturer. The image processor on the RX100 is magnificent. You can take a lot of burst shots with this, and the autofocus is among the best in the point and shoot range. And if you can tell from how long the lens is extended, it has a very impressive focal length. You can get from 24 to 200 millimeters with this thing. It has a very impressive range, and it takes really good video. I think Sony's take some of the best video in the industry. So this is a very good option if you want an all-rounder point and shoot that will do just about anything you want. It tends to overheat, especially in warmer environments. I know every camera has an overheating point, but this one especially overheats if you are in a very warm environment and you are filming a lot of 4K video. What I do like though is this camera has a flippy screen that you can flip it up and see yourself if you are a narcissistic vlogger. So this will work great for you. And finally, I want to throw a bone to the Fujifilm X100 Mark V. I know this is the Mark VI. This is just about to come out. But the X100 Mark V is a very, very good camera. It has built-in ND filters. It has, I think, 5 or 6 points of optical image stabilization. So this will work great if you're in a shaky environment. And Fujifilm is one of the only camera manufacturers that makes both camera bodies, lenses, and old school film. So they have their color science down pat. Fujifilm is fantastic. And the new one coming out has a lot of great models of old films. So you really won't need to do that much editing with this camera. The images came out really, really good. And the fact that this has a 40 megapixel sensor, if you want to have a crop in and still maintain a really good sharp image, this will give you a lot of flexibility in post. The only downside to this camera is the lens is fixed at 35 millimeters. So this might not be the best if you want to zoom in and get a lot of detail shots. You will have to physically move yourself and the camera to the subject if you want a more close-in shot. But I still maintain this is an awesome camera, and if you are just being a tourist walking around a new city or taking street photography, this is amazing. So that concludes the point and shoot. Those are the 3 point and shoots that I recommend. Now, all the rest of the cameras I'm going to feature here are interchangeable lenses, and you can basically get any lens to work with the focal length that you want. So let's start out with a APS-C sensor. Now, really the only difference between APS-C and full frame is the APS-C is a little bit smaller of a sensor. Now, there's going to be arguments on photography forums that will say, oh, APS-C is smaller, that means it lets in less light. While that technically may be true, a lot of APS-C manufacturers and a lot of APS-C sensors are made so well, you really can't tell the difference. This was a champ. The battery life is excellent. The autofocus is incredible. And it's built in a small enough package where it will be very discreet and very easily portable. So I highly recommend the A6700 if you want an APS-C sensor with interchangeable lenses. The next camera I want to talk about is the Canon EOS R. Now, I haven't used an R5 or an R6 or any of the new R cameras, so the EOS R is a little bit on the older side here, but it is still a workhorse. When I used this thing to film a couple of music videos with, the autofocus kept locking on to the musicians. The autofocus never failed on me, and the image quality that comes from this is fantastic. I've always said that Canon cameras produce some of the best natural colors I've ever seen, and I don't have to do that much editing in post. And this is no exception. This is a fantastic full frame mirrorless system. And if you're really serious about getting started in a pro grade level of photography, this will be one of your best all-rounders that you can buy. The next camera I want to talk about is something that I hold true, near and dear to my heart. This is the very first pro camera I've ever bought. This is the Sony A7 III. Now, even though this does not have 4K 60 video, it has only up to 4K 30. So if you're a 4K 60, if that's a must-have feature for you, this is not the camera for you. But the 4K 24 is fantastic. The colors look really good. And as you saw in one of my previous videos where I went over the filming of a band set and how I edited that, the A7 III worked great alongside my main camera right here, which is the A7R5. So Sony's full frame market is huge. They have so many different types of lenses that can fit this camera that will give you any type of focal length that you can imagine. The only downside about migrating to a Sony system is the lenses are really, really expensive. If you want to buy their top of the range, what they call their G Master lenses, which is the top spec, highest quality lenses that Sony makes, you're going to be paying a pretty penny for this. Luckily, Sigma and Tamron make great lenses that can fit the E-mount on Sony cameras. For instance, I have a Sigma 14-24 on this camera right now, and the autofocus works great, takes great photos, and it's the main lens I use for my real estate listings. So it works just fine for me. The A7 III has phenomenal battery life. I've never had it overheat on me in the, like 6 years I've owned it now. Never once had it overheat. I've dropped it several times and it still works fine. It's a tank. It's a workhorse. I love this thing. I hold it near and dear to my heart. And you can still pick these up for a relatively cheap price. Look, I know $1,800 on B&H is a pretty penny to pay for, but it will be a workhorse for you. Now let's talk about the only DSLR that I have on this list, which is the EOS 5D from Canon. Every single wedding I've ever worked, there is always one person that has a 5D Mark III. They don't make the 5D Mark III anymore. It's up to the Mark IV, but the Mark IV is just an improvement over the already excellent Mark III. It has a 30 megapixel sensor, which means you could probably get a pretty decent crop on an image. It has 61 points of high density autofocus. The autofocus system on this, in plain English, is spectacular. And the dual pixel CMOS sensor on this is among the best I've ever used in any camera, period. So if you want a DSLR, there really is no other option than this. I mean, there are options, obviously. Like, I know a lot of Nikon users who are going to watch this. I'm not featuring any Nikon cameras because, quite frankly, I've never had a good experience using a Nikon camera or Nikon lenses. To me, it never worked with my workflow, my style, and I always had buggy issues with the software on those things. I know I'm probably in the minority on this, and I know there are a lot of Nikon users out there that will swear by Nikon, but I've never personally had a good experience. So I'm only featuring Canon and Sony cameras for the most part on this, except that one Fujifilm camera. But again, I am only recommending cameras that I personally have used on actual professional shoots. Now, if you're really serious about getting a jump start in pro photography, I really highly recommend you check out the A7 Mark IV. This is the direct sequel to my A7 III, and the A7 IV is just a better improvement on the A7 III. This has 4K 60 video. It has fantastic dynamic range. The autofocus is spectacular, and the image quality I get from this is really, really good. 33 megapixel full frame sensor. The electronic viewfinder, so that window that you look in the camera as you're taking a picture, if you're not relying on the flippy screen, it's really good, and the color accuracy is excellent. It has really good video dynamics, so the S-Log3 on this is really good because they updated the processing power on the sensor, and S-Log3 just looks really good, and it edits really well too. Now, if you want to up the ante and you are more of a photo guy than a video guy, I recommend the camera that I personally use. This is my daily driver camera. This is the Sony a7R5. And yes, $4,000 is very expensive to buy. With the warranty, you're looking at close to $4,500. And the extra insurance, you're pushing $5,000 for this body. And that's just the body alone. I'm not even including lenses. But as you are about to see, when we look at the images from the A7R5, you will see just how good this sensor is and how much detail this camera captures. 61 megapixel full frame sensor. I can't emphasize enough like how much detail these photos give. In great lighting, this camera, I've been able to zoom in 400% in Lightroom and the image was still sharp as hell. So honestly guys, bang for the buck. If you want arguably the best photo camera on the market today, this is it. So the autofocus on the A7R5 is top notch. I love this thing, and it's one of the reasons why it is now my daily driver for my real estate, my weddings, for concert photography, or even if I'm being a tourist and going places, this is always around my neck. I am always carrying this camera. Now that covers the photo side. If you are more of a video person and video is going to be your primary focus, there is no better camera out there, interchangeable full frame camera, than the A7S III. Yes, $3,500 is very expensive, but you are getting the absolute best workhorse camera I've ever used in my life for video. Now this camera only has 12 megapixels, so technically, yes, you can take pictures with this, but I would only use this to take pictures for YouTube thumbnails. If video is your primary source of content to be produced, this is just the end-all be-all, best interchangeable lens video camera I have ever used. Look, the A7R5 will do video very well. You guys see right here, it does video just fine for me, and it does fine for YouTube. But if you are a video-focused person, the low light capability of the A7S III is next to none. I absolutely adore this thing. And if you just have so much fuck you money to spend and you really just don't care, you want the best of the best of the best, here is the A9 Mark III made by Sony. It takes the best of the A7R5 and the A7S III and combines it into one. You have Dragon Ball level fusion here. All right, guys, that concludes the camera recommendations. Now let's go into Lightroom and look at some images. All my raw photos are right here. So if you are a Sony user, you have .arw. That is the default file format for Sony RAW files. And as you can see with the A7R5, a raw picture is 126.8 megabytes. That's what 60 plus megapixels does. So I sorted all the RAWs in a folder and I click and dragged into Lightroom. And basically what I did was well, first off, let's maximize Lightroom and make the thumbnails as big as possible. What I just did was a quick pass through of looking at the images that I liked and I 5-star them. So what I'm going to do now is just go through every single individual image and see which ones I really like, which ones I don't like, because something I like image 17 right here, like it looks like it's in focus, but I want to make sure that it is in focus because the subject is the drummer. So let's quickly go through all the images here and see what we like and what we don't like. So obviously these images right here are just my test exposures, just getting everything set. And now here's where I'm starting to work. So if I actually see, I didn't think I would like this image when I quickly glossed over it, but I like how in focus the drums are right here. So I think I might actually 5-star that. But I was really trying to get the drummer in focus. We don't need the singer handing a stand to the drummer to be an image. Definitely don't need that. Don't need that. That's cool. So before the band goes on, as you're setting up during changeover, this is your perfect chance as a photographer to get the candid, intimate shots of the band, just being themselves and being musicians, just getting ready. Like if I asked this guitar player, hey, could you unplug your pedal board and plug it in again, just so I could get a detailed, candid shot. He's going to tell me to go fuck myself. So I don't think this guy would tell me to go fuck myself because he's a really nice guy. But you get what I'm saying. It's not appropriate. So same thing with this guy. I don't want to ask them to unplug their gear and replug it in just so I can get a detail shot. No, that's roughly the same thing. There's the bass player. His name's Kevin. And he's obviously getting his amp set up. Most of him is in focus, but I'll keep that anyway because I think that's the only shot I have of him getting his rig ready to go. I actually kind of like this, so I'll 5-star that one. See, this would be okay because the singer's interacting with the audience, but This guy right here, he's given me I'm really, really drunk vibes. So yeah, I'm not going to get that. And this guy, look at this guy right here, just like, what's going on? So I don't want that. There's our chief sound engineer, Steve. Steve Zane, as you may know, bass player for Glenn Danzig, and he is a very talented multi-instrumentalist. So I like this shot, but it's the drummer looking awkwardly at me like, oh my God, like, I look at you with the picture. Oh my God, I'm looking at you in the camera. So I'll keep it, but normally I love shots like this where it's the band in their element. Like this right here, this drummer adjusting the hi-hat right here. His hand's out of focus, but if you look in, his face is perfectly in focus. So that's good. I'm not a fan of that one. Bass player getting tuning up. Now this is during the sound check. So Steve likes to put the lights blue when he's like doing the line checks right before they're about to go on. So this is during the line check. So as you can see, this guy, he's tuning up right here, obviously. So I actually kind of like that shot, but there's a lot of like color bleed over here. So I would have to put the dehazer on like almost at maximum here to get a shot. But this right here, you can see a little more detail in his skin. So for this shot, I'll 5-star that one. No, I don't want to look up his nose. So this one is the start of their set. And obviously I'm not going to include this one because it just doesn't look good. It's not an action shot. See, this right here is good. You got his hair flowing. He's belting something into the microphone. He's doing background vocals, and he's playing, and the lights behind him. See, I need to emphasize something on lighting, because depending on how good the lighting is at the venue of which you are photographing at, the lighting of the stage and the performers on stage will be greatly affecting how good your photos come out. So if you are at a venue where it's like they have a couple of, $8 rotating disco ball light that you can buy at Party City, the photos are not going to be good. In which case, I would probably just black and white all those photos and be done with it. But this is color I can actually work with. I love this shot because the guy right here is rocking out, and you can see like in motion, you got the perfect motion blur. The guy's rocking out to the player on stage. You can actually see him. I love shots like that. So with this, I want to get as much of a diverse range of shots as possible. So every band has a stage wide shot of the whole band in action as their default photo. So I want to chase the default photo, and then I want to get individual bands. Like I want my photos to be all of their main profile pics on social media. So that's what I'm chasing when I do this. See, I know this right here. I can manipulate the color and make it like shine really nice around him. Plus I could put a mask on the subject, and Lightroom will detect him as a subject. So I can manipulate the background net. So that's a 5-star image for me. I found the color in this one just to be a little bit better, a little less aggressive with the blue right here. Let's see. That's good. That's good because you can see his face. No. This I like because I could have a really nice moody contrast vibe going on. Even though his face right here, it's not really like the most heavy metal looking face. So I like this shot way more than this one because there's a lot more detail you can see in the signage behind them, and the light is shining on the singer right here. I can make this into a really nice moody contrast. And I like this one too because it's an action shot. I also went from the front of the stage on the floor to the stage to the side so I could get shots of the drummer. And here's a golden rule, guys. If you are photographing a band and you're not sure whether you can go on the stage or not, ask the sound guy at the venue if you can go on stage. Even if the band tells you it's okay to go on stage with them, ask the sound guy, because there are so many times that I've had photographers on stage and they don't watch where they're going and they end up unplugging the monitors, and then I have the band going like, dude, like, we can't hear the monitors, and I don't know what's going on. And it always ends up being the photographer or someone who's filming them went on stage, had not a care in the world about where they're stepping, and they either unplug the guitars from the amps or they unplug the monitors, and they just fuck up the whole show. So if it's like a friend of the band with their phone camera or like a cheap grade camera, I almost all the time say, no, you can't go on stage. But if they have, if it's like a pro photographer with like pro grade gear, it's kind of mean of me to judge photographers based on, quality of their gear and whether I'll let them do their job or not. But if you invest this much money into equipment to do your job, chances are you know what you're doing, and I'll be a little more lenient with photographers getting on stage. The only reason why I went on stage is because I work at Dingbats, so I'm allowed to go on stage. And also I let the sound guy, Steve, know that I'm going to be photographing these guys. And he said, yeah, that's fine. I don't care. So one of the biggest challenges is when strobe lights are going on. So as you can see here, I got this right at the moment where a strobe light was going off. And then this shot right here is when the strobe light wasn't going off. So it's, a lot of images that you take, none of them are going to be bangers. So you just go, if you take about, I shot 317 images from this show. If like 50 or 60 of them are really good, I'll be really happy. So let's quickly scroll through this. Okay, so here's a clear difference between a good shot and a bad shot. Here's a good shot. You see the singer with the microphone in hand, performing, the whole band doing their thing, and you have a guy in the audience giving them the devil horns, rocking out. This is a great shot. This is not, even though it's the same exact shot. Why? Singer looks like he's running a marathon. Not going to use this shot. This shot, yes. This shot, no. You got to pay attention to every little detail in each shot. Of course, in the end, if the band doesn't use a shot that you think is good, it doesn't matter. The point is, if a band is paying you to take their pictures, you want to deliver them as many good quality shots as possible so they feel like they got their money's worth. So this I didn't get because the focus didn't grab the guitar player in time, and there's really, let's see. Oh, the edge of his guitar right here is in focus. But I adjusted my focus perimeters and it got his hair in focus. So there's a difference. That's a good shot, bad shot. And I like this one because the A7R5 focused on his nose, and you could see his nose hair. That's like how detailed this camera is. That's why I have an A7R5. If I wanted to, if Nose Hair Monthly came out with an issue, I can send them this photo and it would get submitted into that. Like, that's how good the A7R5 is, and that's why I use it. Of course, with any camera, you're going to have issues like this where the colors aren't binding that well, and it won't look that good. So a little editing will go a long way, but every camera has their faults like that. And again, this is a very dark room minus the lighting. And yeah, it's hit or miss with lighting. See, this I like because the lights are perfectly casting the rays behind him. I don't even care that they're out of focus. Let's see, what exactly is in focus in this image? Like his shirt a little bit is in focus, but I love the halo effect that the lights are giving on him. That's cool. I don't like this one because guitar player right here is looking straight at the camera, I don't go for that. But I like this one because what I'm also hunting for is profile picture shots. So even though I would never publish this on my website, and this is not a good action shot, I would never like post this as saying like, oh, look at this action shot of a band I took. I want to give this to them though, because he can use this image as his default photo on social media. Also, the contrasting effect with the blue and the red light, that's going to look really good when the editing's done. And then I also like to get close-up detail shots, usually of the players picking their instruments. And I always like to get crowd shots. See, this I like because it's a different angle of the singer. He's going out, singing out to the crowd. I didn't get the crowd in this image, but I got him directing, like doing crowd work. So I like that. Couple more close-up shots of the drummer. See, this right here is a prime example of the shots that I love. The way I'm going to edit this is he's going to pop right here. His hands are in focus. You can see him clearly playing his instrument, and the lights behind him. It's just, when I fuck with the lighting here, it's just going to be great. That's going to be an epic shot. And so is this one, because not only is everything in focus, you can see like the psycho look in his eyes as he's like shredding the shit out of his guitar. Yeah, this is definitely a much better photo than this, but yeah, it's night and day. I strongly prefer this over this, but I'm saving this for now to just see what I can do editing wise. This is an awesome shot too. The guitar is in focus, and you can see like how fast he's playing with the motion in his fingers. This is a cool shot. I love this. That's definitely a 5-star. Oh, I'll 5-star that one too. Detail shots of the guitar. Okay, good. I got that. This guy dancing in the crowd. Guy in the audience headbanging, in focus, the band blurred in the background. Nothing screams dominating figure like a good shot from the bottom looking up. It makes the subject look so much more dominating in the image. So when a guitar player is blaring away on a solo, I always try to grab something like that. And right here is probably a quintessential full band default photo image. You see the drummer doing his thing in the back, and the whole band is clearly visible playing. Composition's good. The lighting's good. This one too. Like, this is quintessential default photo picture. And I love this. Look at the epic hair right here, just going off as he's shredding. This right here might be one of my favorite images because you got just enough of the light peeking through right here, but also making a halo effect around the bass player right here. So you can see the perfect like silhouette of his head. I mean, even though he's got long hair and it's covering his face, he looked like fucking Cousin It the whole set. But like, that's going to be a really cool silhouette effect. And also the red and the blue, like the lights look epic in these. I won't have to do that much editing wise. Great job to Steve for doing such an awesome job with the lights. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, okay. Yeah, these are great. This is my favorite individual shot of the drummer. Raising his stick, ready to smack the shit out of the drums. And you can clearly see that he's a drummer and he is playing. Love that. This shot too. Love that one. So at Dingbat specifically, these lights right here are so fucking bright, it blinds the bands on stage and it's really hard to see the audience. So any chance that I can get where the lighting is basically on a very minimalist setting, I'll try to get a shot of the band and you can see the crowd right here. Another good band photo. Oh yeah. Guy rocking out. Good shot. Yeah, this guy was dancing throughout their whole set. Love this guy. Oh yeah. Good shots. Yeah. Okay. I got this guy's like default photo shot a little while ago. Here is this guitar player's default photo. Right here. You got the silhouette effect going on behind him. The lighting's really good. His skin tone is coming out really nice. And it's a powerful shot too. It's looking up. He's got his leg forward, just like really dominating the guitar shredding right there. Really, really good shot. And now this is the part where they're going around introducing the band. So for moments like this in the set, when they're introducing the band, this is great because they're going to introduce the band one by one, and every band does this. They're like, on drums, we have this guy. And of course, everyone goes like, yeah, to every single band member. So this is a time where the band is introducing everyone. This is going to be the prime time to take a step back, take a wide shot to get the crowd involved. So this is a great shot. The singer smiling, his skin is a little overexposed here, but that's nothing a highlight deduction can't fix. And also the audience is like, yeah, rock on. So love that. This one too. Love this one. Band's in action playing. You can see a little bit of motion blur with the drummer. And this guy right here is just rocking out. Same with this guy right here. And it also helps that he's wearing the band shirt. So this could be a great opportunity to have a merch promotion. So the images I take are large enough where you could put them on posters, print them out if you want. You can have this be an advertisement. So like in the top section right here, Scarlet King merch, and then list here you can list the price of each item, and you can have a sample of the shirt right here. This is a great advertisement billboard. Try to provide shots like that too for the band so they can literally use any image for any situation. All right, now we got some moshing going on. So this was really like the last thing on my list was getting moshing and people dancing. This guy right here, I mean, he has shit taste in beer. He's drinking a PBR, but he's dancing around, having a good time. This guy was just living life. And yeah, everyone's having a good time. So this is good. You can almost imagine if it like there's a ska band right there on the stage playing, because he looks like he's skanking right there. Captain PBR. Look, my flash, I literally just noticed this. My flash, I was right underneath the disco ball in the middle of the floor, and when my flash was going off, it lit up the disco ball. The disco ball wasn't on, but my flash lit up the disco ball. Looks pretty cool. And then here's the end of the set. Yeah, this right here is a good shot. Oh yeah, perfect shot for Facebook default photo for this guy. Crop it so it's only him and the guy in the band's merch shirt, by the way. Devil horns. Yeah. That's default photo shot for him. And at the end, Singer went into the audience. Made sure to get a couple shots of that. I mean, this could be his default photo too right here. One more shot of the band stage wide shot. And then, of course, obligatory at the very end, band on stage with the audience behind them after the set. And really, here's the difference between with my flash on and then with the flash not working because it didn't charge up fast enough. So flash on, flash off. That's why a flash on your camera is so fucking important. So let's see, how many 5-star images do I have? Sweet, I have 149 of 317. So just about half of the images I took of this band are good shots for me to use. So now comes a time where I am going to edit the pictures, and I'm not going to edit these in real time because I make a boatload of different corrections and settings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take from now till the end of my edit to, I'm going to speed it up in post. And also I like to listen to music when I edit pictures. So I think I am feeling, who am I feeling tonight? I really think I'm feeling Floggin' Molly tonight because I was going to go see Floggin' Molly over the weekend, but the tickets were so outrageously expensive. I didn't even bother. So I think I'm feeling Floggin' Molly. Obviously, I don't want to get copyright striked, so I'm going to put some royalty-free, YouTube-friendly music underneath, and let's get editing. I'm now going to show you guys the POV of the entire shoot and the gig. It's going to be completely unedited, so you're going to see all the shots that I did. You're going to see my workflow. You're going to see how I worked the room, and you're also going to check out the band's set. So enjoy. This is the entire set from Scarlet King at Dingbats. Take care.
What the fuck is up, Dingbat? I see too many people hiding back there. Get here! How's everybody feeling? Well, you got all slept. Sucked. It's time to give you a show. Montage. Thank you guys so much. Of course, like I said, we haven't recorded that one. It will be out soon, I will say that. But this next one is on our album that's already out. Some of you have heard it before. For the rest of you, it does have a name. We know it. You know. So, decided to dub this one ST. Yeah! Exactly. What's my death? Real quick, give it up for Alex. Give it up for Malcolm. Give it up for Kevin. Next, the animal behind me. Give it up for Kurt. And then you got me. I'm Mike. I'm the guy who makes all the funny noises. I talk some shit. What's happening? Alright, we got two more for you.
When are you gonna quit my death? 3!
Give it a minute.
Okay.
Dos manos. Well, this one you haven't heard yet either.
You're the last. Holy shit!
Yes, we are.
I'm calling encore.
Alright, this next one, we haven't recorded yet either. But this is what you feel when you run into that scurry yard. All you feel is wrath, and it goes something like this. title track off our first album.